Who says a stitch can't build an empire? Welcome to the Speak With Our podcast. My name is Olaosebikan Maryam. You can call me Mary the Talker, and I am excited to be the host on today's episode titled From Okrika to Runway. Is this your first time tuning in? This is a space where we invite women from diverse fields and professions to inspire, empower, and educate the next generation, especially young girls. Joining me as always is my amazing co-host.
Hello everyone, my name is Onaemi Feishayo.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining. And in the studio today, we have a special guest speaker. A once upon a time little girl who used to redesign second-hand clothes has now transformed into an internationally recognized fashion designer. She's here to share her inspiring journey and how she became a successful woman that she is today. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the CEO of Nessa's collection, Vanessa Etim.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here to share my little knowledge and, inspire other young girls out there who would want to take this career path too. Thank you. I feel honored to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for devoting your time to be here today. We truly appreciate on behalf of the Speak With Our podcast. So before we dive into the conversation, I wouldn't say interview. I feel it is a normal conversation that we are having amongst ourselves. So you started with stitching second-hand clothes, right, ma'am? So
Yes.
I'll go with first question. How
Okay.
did transforming second-hand clothes as a young girl help you shape your identity and discover your personal power?
Um. So I started hand sizing secondhand clothes, what we call Okrika secondhand clothes, into my own size as a teenage girl. Um, a little bit of my background. So we didn't have much, but I had to make do with what was available. So I would go to the general market and select a few clothes I saw. I didn't necessarily had to like everything. Maybe I liked the way the sleeve was, maybe I liked the buttons. I would pick different clothes, and when I get home I would combine each component to get what I wanted. And when I was doing it then, I didn't see it as a career path. To me, I was just making do with what was available to me. And few years later, let's say around 2018, I find myself um, in the fashion path. I was Before that I was an engineering student. Yes, I studied petroleum processing. Yes, I went to Petroleum Training Institute in Warri, and anyone that knows about that school knows that it is not a joke. So it's an engineering school basically for the oil industry. So that was the path I was heading to. And then 2018, it just came to my spirit. Learn how to sew. Have you thought about fashion? Have you just learned how to sew? Who knows? Just learn how to sew just in case. And I went to learn how to sew. But the turning point for me was in 2020, when it was just strong in my spirit that I just felt like this is my destiny, this is the path I need to go. And I started with what I had. I didn't wait to have an elaborate plan. Thank God I had encouraging family, very encouraging family. And when I started my fashion journey, I realized that those things I was doing as a teenager, you know, so it made me, I was able to pay attention to things like finishing, which we really don't pay attention to. But I was able to pay attention to things like finishing because the Okrika is the international standard of sewing.
Yeah.
So I was able to see the details, how neat the inside and the outside is, and I was able to bring that knowledge into my brand, Nessa's collection. Another thing was it helped me to be able to spot good fabrics. You know, I'm a sucker for good fabrics. No matter how fine a design is, is the fabric of good quality? Is it comfortable? How is it feel on the skin? Very important because sometimes the fabric can be fine but it irritates the skin. So this, and then color combination, I was able to learn that from Okrika. And like if I combine this color with this color, okay, it will go. Okay, if I combine stripe, you can combine two stripes, use a darker color down, use a lighter color up. As long as those two stripes have one matching color together, you can do that. And that is what Okrika helped me to do, to shape the creative aspect of my career, to help me to be able to even see the good. Like I can see the end from the beginning. I can look at a fabric and be okay, this fabric would be good for this fabric would be good for that. And there are styles I saw in Okrika. Like there's the way I make my color, the color of my shirts for my brand, and I learned that from this Okrika. Sometimes I would buy, even if I'm not wearing it, I would loosen it to see how these things were made. And by the way, when I was shaping those clothes earlier in my teenage age, I was doing them with my hands because I didn't have a sewing machine. So you know your usual hand thread and needle. I would sit down, take my time, and do these things. I didn't know that was God just pushing me into my future, preparing me for my future. Where I use that hand sewing now is in my bridals, because a lot of bridals now there's something we call lace placement, where we do a base and then the lace, the main lace for the wedding dress, we don't sew it with machine, we hand stitch it. So that hand stitching I was doing as a teenager, I'm not using it now in my bridal. So these are the few ways, that experience has helped me.
Thank you. Thank you for the response. I feel like you are teaching us a lot in this fashion design.
No, fashion
Like
is
I'm actually
beautiful.
learning how to combine colors now because I also have the idea of this fashion design and you are teaching me as well. So this is very, very beneficial. So thank you so much for that response. I really love the fact that you grew up with that energy that you have in stitching into Okrika. Now see all the imaginations. It's just like somebody has already has the experience before. So from hand stitching, you already get okay. This is how the clothing is. This is how the unlike normal clothes that they would just like it will just be normal stitch. But you've already nurtured. You've seen it. You've like well done, man. Well done, man. In
Thank
fact,
you.
that means from
Thank you.
girl child, you've actually been yourself. You've already shaped the identity that you want for yourself. And that your personal power keeps you going to where you are going, to where you are, and where you are still going to a successful path. Well done, man. And I feel like a girl child that has this passion, if you have a passion, in building something, don't just be like, oh, it is just normal and stitching. Maybe it is just let's be alert, let's be aware of our environment, of what okay, this is the change that look at. I don't know if you really understand the change that you've already seen. You are now using that idea of the Okrika that you've seen now to build another, to build your own industry. If like your own, no, nobody can just say that okay, this is you would have seen that this is Vanessa's signature because they've already seen the way you do your work, the way you do your thing. Nobody would know that you got the idea from Okrika. Yes, because
I mean,
a normal person will think that okay, let me go and learn this one. They will not know that it is the inspiration that you had from a second hand clothes that nobody will even think of. It's now becoming an international recognized fashion designer. Well,
we
then,
can
so
only
I'll
thank God. Thank you.
second question. So,
Okay.
and I want to add this for every girl child, every girl with children that is listening to this. If you love something, if you have a passion for something, they say it is not what we study sometimes that will put food on our table. Sometimes you have to develop your passion, then create your own. I'm not saying it is okay to educate. It even gives you that part. It even gives you that inspiration that okay, this is how, if you're an educated person, it will be different from an uneducated person now going into fashion industry. See the way you are lecturing us as if we are your students. Thank you, ma.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you.
you.
So,
Okay.
although you've educated us on this part, on this fashion designing, so I'd love to ask this question on how can we better educate and equip young girls to turn their creative passion into thriving business? That is, the moment you actually decided that, oh, this is what is good from this, I think I want to go into this. How did this happen? How can we educate our girl child to just like turn their passion into thriving business?
Hmm. Okay. Thank you for this question. So, um, I'm going to start by first saying, be sure that your passion is truly your passion. Be very sure because you will be tried and you will be tested. It's like I always say, I have this saying: when you say you want something, God has a way of, are you sure you really want this thing? How far are you willing to go to achieve this thing? And these are the areas you'll be tested. You will be tested. So before you rush, be sure you have a clear direction from God that this is the path you should go, and love what you do, because when you feel like giving up, it is that love for what you do that will keep you going. So what I can say is, if you have a passion for, let's say, fashion, for instance, you're a girl out there or you want to go into fashion, the first thing I would want you to do is learn how to sew, of course. Don't aim at going to a big fashion school. Funny story, I have never been to a fashion school,
Wow.
but I keep, yes. The what I learned was the normal apprentice work that we all know, that you go and pay someone and attach to them and just go to their shop. This is way back 2018. But right now, there's no style, there's no technique of sewing that I don't know, because I keep updating myself with current knowledge. I keep updating myself. So what I would tell you to do is learn that skill properly. You don't have to go to a big school to learn it. Just learn from the people around you. If you don't have money, there's YouTube free. All you need is data. There's nothing you want to learn. I believe there's nothing you want to learn that you can't learn on YouTube. Learn these things. Be good at it. Don't just do it. Be good at it, because when you do for one person and you're good at it, that person will recommend someone else, and that is how my business has grown, honestly, from referrals like this. And another thing I would say is, it's not just following passion. Know the business of your passion, because yes, you have a passion, but at the end of the day, if you're going to say, okay, this passion is going to be my career path, you're going to have bills to pay. So this passion of yours, this thing you're following, should be able to pay your bills. So when you're learning the creative side of your passion, learn the business side too. Very important, very very important. And I think that is what we're lacking a lot in Nigeria, from my experience, especially in the fashion industry, where all we're seeing is creative, 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 creative. A lot of people don't know the business aspect of it. You need a standard structure Even though from at the beginning stage you may not have all the structure put in place, but know the business of it very well. Know how you will make profit from it and be able to pay your bills and then grow from there. Don't just see it as something you're just doing to survive, because if you're just doing it to survive, then you won't grow. You won't grow. See this as your path one. You're doing this passion, then at the same time, this passion will pay your bills. You learn the creative, learn the business, and learning never stops. So always advance. You will always be learning, always be researching in your field what new knowledge is available, what upgrade is happening. And like I said, you don't need to pay any particular go to any particular school. We have access to, and now with AI, come on, come on, with AI you can learn everything with your phone. Currently now I'm studying, I just got certified with Meta Digital Marketing. That is the course I've just completed, because I've seen that, okay, this knowledge I'm going to put it in my business, and it will help my business to scale further. So don't just see it as something small. You just want to do something small. You just, don't see it that way. See this as, you know, someone told me, if you're building a business or following passion that will turn into a business, build it like you want to sell it, like you're going to sell it to somebody. It's going to be worth something. So put in your all. The sleepless nights will come. You will have to sacrifice your time. You have to sacrifice your comfort for it. So it's not easy, but when you love what you do, because you love what you do, you always have the motivation to do it. So that is what I have to say. Learn the creative, learn the business, keep advancing. Don't hinder yourself because maybe there's where you are, you don't have maybe financial support. You don't have anybody to back you up. Just start with what you have around you. That is always my principle. Don't wait for a big break. Don't wait for the big thing to happen. Just what you have around you. See how you can maximize it. See how you can squeeze everything out of it. Be ready so that when the opportunity comes, it meets you ready, meets you prepared. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ma. So you said for your business to thrive as a young girl, that you want to build an empire with this idea. You talked about structure. What do you mean by structure, Ma?
Okay, so I'm going to use my area as an example because that is what I know. So in fashion, you have the creative director who creates designs, who oversees, as the name implies, creative director, the design direction, and there's a creative director, there is a there's a pattern maker, the person that cuts, the person that sews, um, quality control, all these different roles. You have to structure it such that as you're growing, you're employing people. At the beginning stage, you're going to be the one doing all of this. But as your business is growing, you're employing people to fill these roles so that it would make the business organized. So let's say a creative director or sketches a design, or if you don't want to sketch a design as a creative director, you can hire a fashion illustrator. That is what they do, they sketch fashion designs. So when the design comes, the pattern maker knows that, okay, when the design comes, my job is to look at the design and interpret it into patterns. So patterns are like blocks of what will be used to cut the main fabric. So the fashion illustrator's job is to create design sketches. pattern maker interprets the sketches into patterns, and then the person that will cut will now take the patterns from the person that has drafted the pattern and cut, and then the tailor comes in. So, and the tailor knows that. So all these people work together. They're not working independently. They are working together because the fashion illustrator and the pattern maker will work together. In that, the fashion illustrator would have to get the pattern maker in the design so that they will know how to create the patterns. Now, the pattern maker and who is cutting will work hand in hand so that every measurement is accurate, nothing is missing. The person that has cut will work hand in hand with the person that is sewing to be sure that whatever you cut after sewing, those measurements are aligned, nothing is missing. Everybody, it's an ecosystem. Everybody is working together, but these structures are in place so that even when, as the owner, you're not available, your business can still run because you have created this structure and there are ground rules. You've set out rules, you've set out roles for everybody, so everybody knows what they are doing. Why we suffer or why we have not been able to scale at large in the Nigerian fashion industry is because to an extent we lack, okay, let me not say we lack these technical skills. Everyone that has this skill want to work for themselves. They want to have their own business. They want to do their own thing. So most times a tailor would have to cut, will have to draft pattern, cut, sew, do quality control and all of that. Because if we have this mindset that I've learned this skill, I'll use this skill to work, not necessarily to open my own business. I'll use this skill to work under someone and earn a living. It would make it a bit easier for the fashion industry to have a standard structure. Currently, we're trying. It's better now than it was like 4 or 5 years ago. It's better now because people are beginning to see these things as career path. It's not everybody that should open business because you learned a skill, you run and go and open business, and then at the end of the day, you can't keep up. You're busy, but you're not making profit. That's not what you want to do. So if you put back to what I was saying, so put all the structures in place. This is your role. When you employ someone, this is what you're to do every day. This is when you resume. This is what you do. This is the time you close. Quality control. After sewing, before dispatch, quality control will check everything is in order, and then you hand over to logistics. Logistics handles the dispatch, making sure that the garment gets to the customer safely. And then from there, customer care takes over for review, customer review. How was the shopping experience and all of that. So this structure is very important. I just use fashion, what I know, as an example. So in any area you're going to, read, like do research on the structure of that field that you're going into. Don't just rush into it. Know the structure so that that's how your business will scale. So that when you're not available, your business is still running. The business will not shut down because you're not there. And that is how you'll be able to grow and expand. Thank
It
you.
makes me remember this famous fashion designer that got pregnant and she's not here and her business was still
Oh,
thriving and
Vicky James, yes. So
yes.
if when you look at people like that, Vicky James, Prudence, all these big designers, they've been able to have that structure put in place. So even when they are not available, business is still running. That is why it is very important to get the structure right.
Yeah. Like, what if a young girl that does not has the power of building that structure, building those steps of going through a fashion illustrator, and what if it is only just a dream? She has only just a dream. She wants to just like push through it through the use of just a sewing machine, how do you think she can just like put a structure in place? And your word, I want to take it. But you said it is not just anybody that can just open a business. You said not just like, okay, I've learned this fashion skill. Oh, let me just start opening a shop. Let me start building my brand. And you don't have any structure. Even if you do not have to go through fashion illustrator, fashion making, what is that type of structure? What mode of structure can a young girl with just a dream have?
Okay. Um, Structure is not built in a day. I have been in the fashion industry for 6 years, and even I don't have like I don't have all the stuff I would love to have. So when I say structure, I'm not saying from day one have everything. No, that is not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is before you've learned how to sew and you want to go into fashion, and like I said, you must look at it. How big is your dream? How far do you want to go? Because before you start sewing or anything, before you jump into the market, you need to have a plan, what we call a business plan. It doesn't have to be so elaborate. Why do you want to do what you want to do? Why do you want to do what you're doing? Who are the people you want to serve? What are the ages of these people? Who is your target market? Who are the people you're targeting? Have all this in plan. And as I started alone. You're starting by yourself. The same structure, the same principle you would apply to your employers, apply to yourself. You don't have to start with all the stuff. You're starting alone, it is okay. But as the business grows, let's say you started alone, after a year or two, you were able to hire a tailor, right? When you hire a tailor, don't just hire a tailor for sit them down, let this tailor go through training if possible. Explain how your business, like where you're heading to and the structure you want. You have to explain it to your workers because they are not you, they wouldn't know. So you started alone as a young business person. You've learned this trade, you've started alone. You've grown to hire one tailor and you set the roles of this tailor. Okay, when you come, your job is to sew. I will do the cutting. Your own job is to sew. Or if you're hiring someone, ask them if they can cut and sew very well. You now have someone that can cut and sew very well. So you're now two. You've grown from one to two. And then the following year, as the business is growing, that is how your structure is growing. So you get to a point where you can now hire a fashion illustrator, a pattern drafter, and all of that. But you have to know the structure that is involved in the area you're going to so that as you are growing, you are following that structure that you've set for your business. You're following it that okay, after my phase of staying alone to sew, the next phase is to hire one tailor. I've hired one tailor. My next phase is okay. I get another tailor. The next thing you want to do is okay, which role is most important to me right now in this business? Is it a manager? Is it a pattern drafter? Is it a quality control personnel or someone to handle your logistics? So based on where you are and what is most important to you, that is how you employ as you grow. You don't need to have everything. Nobody has everything. If you have everything, then you wouldn't really understand what you're doing in depth. So it's stage by stage. The structure comes stage by stage. It's not like you just have it all at once.
You've been able to answer my question. So I believe a young girl that have only just a dream and you think that, oh, I do not even know what business I'm into. Why is this business not fetching me that money that I need for my upkeep? Because sometimes you be like, I'm just working and it is not reflecting in financially for me something like that. But you were able to enlighten us on how you can build that structure and where it can be, how it can be a business for you. It is not about just being creative and all of that. So thank you so much for the response. So at this point I would give my co-host the chance to continue.
Thank you very much, Ma. You're a very good teacher. Like I understood each point you made. So one of the things you said that stood out for me is the point where you said that you should make use of what you have currently. Okay, so to that girl child, let's say for instance, as a girl child, you want to become a content creator. And at that point, the only device you have is probably, I don't want to mention any device, but let's just say you don't have an iPhone, and for you to create probably you want to create content, you have to have iPhone or something. And then that there is a certain iPhone, let's say iPhone 14. I know that one will give you clear, like a perfect picture you want for the content or something like that. If you don't have money for iPhone 14 now, start with that Infinix with you. At least, assuming she did not start with the Okrika and she's just waiting for one miracle to happen and someone should just walk in and say, "Oh, do you want to go to fashion school? And let me give you 1 million or something." She wouldn't have gotten to where she is today. So start with it. Start with that anything. Start with what you have. My question is that one of our content creators, he said that when he started creating content, he said many people told him that he was too local with it. He said, "Oh, you are too local with this. Try to push yourself. Try to do this and that." But today, he stayed focused with that vision. He was steadfast with it. But today, he has partnered with different brands and is still currently doing that. So the society has a way of criticizing you when they don't know where you are going. They can't see the vision. Even if they can see it, maybe you told them, they cannot understand it. So my question is that what mindset shift does a young girl need to make when society tries to define her worth by where she started rather than where she's going?
Um, do these people are these people in charge of the oxygen you breathe? As long as these people don't give you life, then their opinion doesn't matter. And sometimes is good because it just keeps you. There's this saying that if you don't have enemies, that means you're not succeeding. you know. So I think one of the things that points like, oh, I'm in the right path is all this kind of criticism. And sadly in a country like Nigeria where classism is a thing, so you would always get all these things. But you know where you're heading. So be so focused on where you're heading that you're not seeing anything beside you. You're focused at where you're heading and don't pay attention to what people are saying. When I gave up engineering for fashion, imagine giving up engineering for fashion in an African home. You know what that means now. Engineer, everybody, I was already being called engineer. Imagine leaving that for fashion. Not everybody gave me the, yeah, you can do it. So it took years of consistency for some people to be like, to come to the realization that, okay, I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm heading, that is where I'm focused. As long as every day I'm doing one thing to improve myself, whatever anybody else is saying, I'm not hearing. I'm focused at where I'm going to, and that is all that matters. Don't let anybody talk you down. Don't, and try in as much as you can avoid it. Try as much as possible not to open yourself to too many negativity, you know. To as much as you can control, distance yourself from some negativity, from some, sometimes it might come as a joke, maybe friends around or family or just around. Distance yourself from that. But in a situation where this negativity is so close to you that you can't distance yourself, just don't pay listening ear. Just block it. Focus on where you're going to, and there's no way you focus and take consistent steps every day that you won't see growth. So don't listen to what anybody is saying. Just focus on where you're going to. That is all that matters. That is all that matters.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Ma. So, as you said, just remain steadfast with your vision. It doesn't matter if nobody sees the lights in that vision. So far, you see the lights, just work on yourself. Don't just stand with, oh, I've seen the lights, and this is my vision. But then walk towards it.
Yes.
So, thank you very much, Ma. And my second question is that I have seen people who force themselves to be like other people. Like now, let's say for instance, someone that grew up in, let's say a suburb in Lagos, and they are trying to like you are trying to fake an accent, like for instance, a British accent. Yeah. Let's say you're trying to like fake an accent and then you are trying so hard that it is so obvious because and I've met people like that and not just when it comes to communication alone, like the way they do their things, it is so obvious that they are trying to imitate someone, and then at the long run it's become so embarrassing and they even force themselves. So because there's this harmful quote, and I state, they will say fake it till you make it. And sadly, this code is being passed down to our young girls to the extent that junior secondary school, and then they are like, oh, they already have this mentality that, oh, I have to alter myself. For me, I'm not saying you should not improve on yourself. Oh, let's say that, oh, as a person, you want to be a public speaker. That is different. You are taking up courses. But then we have people that that's not what they are doing. Their tone, their voice, their tone and everything. They want to have that. They want to do that thing. So how do you use Nexa's collection to teach young girls that true beauty and confidence come from celebrating their unique heritage?
Okay. One thing I try to do is stay authentic to who I am, and I try as much as possible to, even there's this school close to where I stay where I went to educate teenage girls on staying true to yourself. Sadly, the internet is also not helping, because in as much as these people, they fake it till you make it, people are on the internet, the authentic people are also on the internet. But of course, bad news or whatever is negative would move, like go fast, you know. Just that is where we found ourselves. That's the situation we found ourselves. But like I said, I try to stay very authentic, and I try to teach young girls around me that when you do this thing now, all these things that have side effects, all these BBLs, all these injections, all this fake life. And the thing with fake life is you have to keep like faking it to maintain the fake. And that is how you lose yourself as you're growing. That's how you lose yourself. So don't look at immediate gain. Look at the long run. Say 10 years from now, those people, those that did BBL in, let's say, 10 years ago, 10 years forward, what would they be like? These BBLs have side effects. It affects your knee, it can affect your waist, it can give you health complications. And luckily, people are now coming out now to also talk about the downside of having all these things done. So rather than, it is difficult, but from my own small niche, I'm educating girls that you do not need to change who you are. You do not need to change yourself. You do not need to copy anybody. Be your authentic self, because that is what will last. What is fake will not last. You will get tired, you'll get burnt out. By the time you keep faking it and you're not getting it like you assumed you would get it, you get burnt out. But when you're true to your authentic self, you know that everything is a process. You know that everything is in stages, and you're putting yourself, taking step by step process to be get to that stage. Then you will get there. Don't hurry to. And there's this thing in Nigeria where everybody wants to blow. I don't know how, So you see people do crazy things. The internet is a mess right now. And if I had my way, if I was to become a president, the first thing I would do is restrict the internet for um, children from say 15 down. You won't have access to certain internet like TikTok, you know. You wouldn't have, so that you can focus on your book. Focus. And our education, because of these things, our educational system is suffering, but in my own little way, every now and then, if I'm not in a school talking to girls, I'm holding trainings in um, my office, where I'm training girls or empowering young girls. Okay, come and learn how to. Okay, you finish secondary school, you don't know what to do. Rather than just roaming around and then you be tempted to want to go this way, come and learn this skill. When you learn this skill, you can use it to better yourself. You can use it to do something to earn a living. And sometimes, there's a thing I do. When you learn from me, when you learn how to sew from me, when you're done learning, I'll employ you for a while and then I'll be paying you. It could be for a year, it could be for 6 months. I'm paying you. So what you're doing with your salary is you're saving it so that you can buy a machine for yourself if you do not have a machine.
Wow.
So I train
Okay.
you so that you don't just, yes, because we're trying to empower young girls so that they don't, you know, lose themselves in this society where everybody is losing themselves. So that at least let it not be everybody that is lost. Let's still have some people. So I will train you, keep you, you would work with me, and when you feel like you've been able to save up, and I check, I will ask you, okay, I'm the one paying you salary. I know how much I've paid you in 6 months. So what have you done? How much is the machine? But sometimes because I'm in the business, I know where to source machines from. Sometimes I will tell you, okay, we'll have an agreement. I'll hold on to this for a certain period of time, and then I will use it to buy the machine for you. Then you can now go and prosper. Or if you feel like you want to still stay with me to work for me a bit longer, then it's fine. That is how, in my own little way, I'm contributing to help girls from, doing this whole fake life thing, which is not profitable. It's not even good. It's, but we are here, so we can only do the little we can do. I feel sad sometimes. I feel sad when I go on the internet, I see secondary school children. I'm like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? You should be studying. But we can't help
They are making money.
everything. You cannot, if you do not know if you do not know financial management, if you do not know how to handle money, you would lose everything. So at the end of the day, you've made nothing because you squander it. Rather than use it to invest in yourself, in your future, you squander it because you really do not know how to use money well for a good purpose. You just want to buy iPhone, buy wig, buy handbag, buy, and all those things would don't last. You know, iPhone keeps producing new iPhones every year. So are you going to keep doing that every year? I believe that with these women like us, doing what we can from in our own little ecosystem, I believe that the future will be great. I believe that the future will be great, and this fake kitty make it of a thing is going to come down. It's going to really come down. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, ma, you've been able to answer it. So he made mention of how she contributes to young girls in her own way, which is in fact it is very perfect because there is one thing to identify a problem, and it is another thing to criticize it without doing anything that, oh, in as much as I'm criticizing this thing, what am I doing to combat it? Okay, you see, let's say that for instance in your neighborhood you see young girls in maybe a group of five and then they are practicing how to just do something in a certain way, and you know that they are losing themselves, they are losing their identity because of that thing. Instead of you to call your neighbors and say something like, oh, those girls are doing this, just try in your own way. You can just call them, speak to them, advise them, and let them know that growth has to do with staying true to themselves. And then she made mention of the influence of social media. She said no, she said the social media actually has a way of encouraging things like that by faking things, and I've been a victim. So when I newly started my journey, I think in 500 level, so I developed a new area of interest. So and then I went on TikTok and I saw certain people that they are way older than me, and I was comparing myself to them. I don't really know how to explain it. Whenever I look at their
Yeah.
progress, I suddenly forget, oh, the number of years. I suddenly forget that those people came before me. And then I felt so pressured. In fact, at a point, I was having headache because I was having a headache at some point because let's say that I'm working on something today, I'll quickly abandon that thing and say, no, 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 this is not how I'm supposed to be doing it. I was imitating their own way, and I was abandoning my creativity, my
Mm,
uniqueness. So
mm.
whenever I have a notion in my head, and whenever they say something else, I'll be like, no, what I was thinking was nonsense. No. So it actually became a situation of I'm always wrong, and whatever they say is always right. Fine,
Right.
there is a context to what I'm trying to say. There are some things that you need to learn, but then there are some things that it is your voice. Don't lose your voice because, oh, probably this person has 30 years experience, and then you're like, oh, the person should always be right. No, what if you are right even without your 2 months experience? So thank you so much, ma. In fact, I'm really really happy because we are in a world whereby there are people that they just think for themselves, they just want to thrive alone, and even when they see people that are under them trying to grow, they feel threatened. They feel like, this person will not do kiniko kiniko. So thank you so much, ma. And then my last question is for every young girl listening who is currently in a teaching phase of her life, trying to put her dreams together. What is the most important lesson she needs to learn about becoming a successful, empowered woman?
The number one on that list is be very authentic, be true to yourself and to your calling. Know yourself and your calling. This is who I am. This is what I have been called to do. When you know these two things, you won't be easily distracted. Your focus is going to be on where you're going. You know, sometimes the people around you may not understand, because at the end of the day, it is only you that understands your vision. So when you're authentic, and you know yourself, you know what you want, just focus on that thing. Put authenticity first. Don't follow trends. Don't do it because somebody's doing it. Don't do it because you heard there's money there. Because without a proper plan, that person you're seeing that is doing it and making money, you don't know the plan they put in place. A typical example is when Hilda Bassi did her cooking this thing for Guinness. We're all Nigerians. We saw what happened after that. We can all
Yeah.
attest.
And everybody started imitating.
Now, Hilda didn't wake up one morning and say, "Oh, I'm going to go and stand for over how many hours and cook." It was planned. It didn't happen overnight. People just saw it happen, but it took her years of planning, preparation, preparing her mind, preparing her body physically, because to stand like that for that number of hours is not easy. So she prepared her mind, she prepared her body for that task. And you can see that everyone that tried to copy her didn't really, they didn't have audience, people didn't really,
Yes.
it just had that buzz, but of that moment. After that, what, you didn't get the Guinness recognition you wanted to go and copy and get. You don't know how long she has been applying. You do not know how many no's that she received to get one yes. So don't copy anybody. Be true to yourself, and growth takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Be patient with yourself. Be true to yourself. Listen to people that will encourage you. Listen. You can go on this internet. Use it positively. Search for, maybe if there's someone in your career path that you see as a successful person. Search for their interviews. Listen to their stories. Currently, I'm knee deep in Mayata for the suit designer. Every interview Mayata for has granted, I have watched it. I'm also listening to Mrs. Adenike, the owner of this kiddies wear, Rough and Tumble. I'm listening to her, even at this age, because these are people that have not just excelled in fashion, they've excelled in the business of fashion, not just the creative side, they've excelled in the business side. And these are people I want to be like. I look up to these people, so I'm listening to them speak, their mindset, you know, trying to align myself. I'm not competing with them. These are people that have 30 years, 40 years experience in fashion industry. I'm just a baby of 6 years in the industry. But this listening to these people, hearing their story, gives me a bigger picture of where I'm heading to. I know that, okay, if mine can start from here and get to this level, I can do it too. If for instance, Vicky James, she didn't just blow, like people say. People didn't see the years of consistent hard work she did to get to where she is. And one thing I learned from Vicky James, she taught me that I can charge my worth with pride. She's the first Nigerian fashion designer I saw charging in millions. I'm like, so people pay millions for a dress. And that opened my mind. And I questioned, rather than saying, I must make my own, I said, what did she do to get to that level where she can make a 10 million naira dress and someone will pay? What did she do to get it? Because she didn't just get it overnight. So don't rush. is a gradual process. Focus on your authenticity, focus on what you want to do, keep advancing yourself, keep learning, listen to people that have succeeded in your field. Um, Look for people, reach out. If the internet, you can, people in your field, not everybody respond to your DMs, but look for someone you can look up to as a mentor, even from the internet, around you, that is successful in maybe the area you're heading towards, because you can never make it alone. You need people around you, people have um that have experience, because there are some things you will learn from their experience that will save you. There are some things you learn from their experience that will save you time, save you money, you know. So that is what I have to say. Don't rush it, because um, legit progress, does not happen overnight. There is nobody, even the richest man, did not start overnight. It's a gradual process. Be true to yourself, be true to what you're doing, and that is how you make progress step by step. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma. So one of the things she made mention of preparation. Every creativity starts with an idea. Probably you woke up one day and then you conceived a notion in your head and you're like, oh, I can do this like this. Then that is where the point of preparation comes in. It is different from after conceiving the idea, then you sat down carefully and be like, oh, how can I achieve this thing? Yes, and then I would like to put it that nothing is too big for you to achieve. Once you and then it takes preparation and determination and for you to be focused. And then she made mention of another point whereby she stated that people go into things because of probably they heard someone say, oh, there is money in it. For instance, the tech industry. It is, yeah, it is right that there is money in it. Fine, there is money in it. But then is it actually for you? Is it
Exactly.
everybody? Yes. Is it everybody that got into tech that is worked for? If something is not your line, it can never work for you. So don't just say because don't just say because there is money in it and you're like, oh, you're abandoning that creative idea. You're abandoning it because probably you have this notion in your head that, oh, there are not plenty people in it now. I've not seen someone that has made millions of naira. What if you are that person that the world is waiting for? I'm a final year law student, and then there are different aspects of law. So so there was a day, I don't know what happened that day, but then I just thought to myself that I looked at different examples of people that are in tech, and I went on social media. I saw tech lawyers, I saw what they were doing, posting different things. And then I was like, ah, there's money in this thing. Oh. I immediately abandoned my area of interest. And then what did I do? The next thing was that I started working towards it. Not because I didn't even ask myself that, do I have interest in this thing? Do I like this thing? But because of money is good though. In fact, I like money. But then I applied for a particular course. I think I started one course on Coursera. So I started dedicating my time to it. And on the long run, I finally came to my senses. And then I was like, I don't like this thing. And then I opened my eyes that day and I began to look at people in other fields. Like for instance, farming. I know the field of farming is underrated. Yes, it is very, very underrated because whenever people have there are people that they have interest in farming, and then they are like, ah, and there's no, I can't make millions because they are looking at the local the examples in their local community. But then
Mm-hmm.
for you to thrive, you have to look more than people that are around you. Don't just focus on people that are around you. Like our guest speaker now, she said,
And
what's her
Maya
name?
Tafo.
Uh-huh.
Him,
My
Maya Tafo.
okay,
Anyone in
Kim.
fashion industry would know Maya Tafo.
I should literally okay, Kim Maya. At least Kim Maya is not, is she your neighbor?
My
Mr.
Atafo,
My,
my
My
M
Atafo,
I
Mai Atafo.
Okay.
A T
Okay.
A F
Yeah.
O.
Yes, he's a fashion designer. He makes suits. He's known for
Okay.
making suits. He makes bridal dresses too, but he's most popular for suits. I think for me, he's like number one in suits in
Mm.
Nigeria. For me, he's number one. You can check him out.
Okay. So what I was trying to say is that our guest speaker didn't look at the tailors, didn't stop at looking at the tailors in our community. But at least it's not as if she has met that man that makes food before, but at least she saw him that, oh, this is an example. So look far beyond your current state. Don't let your background or your environment to become a barrier. So at this point, I would like to hand over to Miss Miriam.
So firstly, I would
Okay.
love to appreciate our guest speaker for coming here. I really do appreciate the fact that you made it through. You showed yourself and you are here to share that inspiring journey, which we truly loved and we enjoyed. It was an interesting episode indeed. So the last episode was building women building the future of Africa. I would love to just like relate it with today's episode because it's a little bit interrelated. I can see the practical aspect in what you are doing because you are building the
It
future of
is
Africa. The moment you,
it is
the
related.
moment,
Not sorry to cut you short. It is not a little
okay,
bit. It is what you're doing is related too. So we're all, you know, related in
building it.
making this building this thing. Yes.
Okay, so because I'm impressed and wowed the moment you told me that you actually teach young girls how to sew and you even build an empire for them. It is even more. Now you are now telling them that it is now your decision if you want to go ahead or not because you've actually created the path for them because you taught them the business aspects, you taught them the creative aspects. What more do they need than that? So yes, what's what they, because sometimes a young girl will be like, oh, I know how to sew. It's because I do not have a sewing machine. It's because I do not have this, I do not have the instruments, something like that. But you gave them an option to choose, and that is themselves. You give them that okay, oh, if you really want this, then go for it because you have all the materials needed for you to push through. Because once you have a sewing machine, you can start. You can definitely start. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for doing that work. Well done, ma. Well done. So the second part of what you said is being authentic. I love the way you actually express. You actually expatiate the authenticity, the natural, and everything, how a brand can emerge if truly you are authentic about it because it comes from what is inside of you. I believe that what you are doing, if it feels boring to you, definitely you'll be even confused. Some challenges will come and it will definitely define you because you are not into it, because you yourself you are into it because of the value, and you yourself you are not creating the value that will bring value back to you. So it will actually get you tired, and definitely it won't be able to involve anymore, and you will leave it. You'll be like, okay, let me go into another. The first thing you told us that is to love yourself. The moment you love what you are doing, that moment you will know that okay, this is what is leading me to what I'm doing. Okay, this is how I can, okay, let me just manage it, let me just create a plan. Like for example, what you said about Iludavasi, I believe that because when she did us, that was when we were now like hearing some other some other chef now starting from maybe small dodo or something like that. All of that, nobody knows the plan. And the thing is that what we all see on social media will be like, oh wow, so this girl, so that means she's from an influential family, that means she's from a wealthy family. Nobody wants to know if she actually went through some aspects, if there's actually a structure she went through, if there's actually a plan. But once the person go viral, you will tag the person as, oh, olowo lele, stuff like that, and you start comparing. without comparing yourself with that kind of person. And you will be like, there's a difference between you comparing yourself to a particular person and you competing yourself to that person. We all want to go through the lift. We don't want to go through the stairs. We'll be like, okay, let me just like, okay, this person goes through this part. Oh, me too. If me not mad, me too, I'll stand up. I'll say, okay, I want to start cooking. I'll post it on social media. I'll be like, okay, once I go viral. And the thing is that it is not all the things that go viral will convert. Sometimes you go viral and it will not convert anything for you, because this viral of a thing, it just happens once, and once it died down, like what you said, success does not happen like at once. There are some steps, there are some challenges that the person has gone through, there are some processes that the person has gone through until she has succeeded in. So thank you so much for giving back to the society. Thank you so much for giving back to young girls on this platform. So
Thank
at
you.
this
Thank you. Thank you for
so
inviting me here to speak. I feel honored that you invited
we
me.
we are actually honored that you accepted our invite and you were able to like show up today, because I knew all the excuses and everything. So finally we are here and we are at the end of this episode of From Okrika to Runway. You can see the way I pronounced Okrika. I'm also using the accent now, that accent that you people used to play from Okrika. From Okrika to
Okrika.
Runway.
Uh-huh.
The Okrika, that nobody would actually think that, oh, this thing can actually build an empire, this thing can build a wealth for me. Some things happen through small things, big things happen through small things. So the more that Okrika was our foundation, what is your own foundation? How do you want to build your own foundation? So I hope you've learned one or two from this episode. The recorded video will soon be uploaded on the Speak With Our podcast on YouTube. So, do you have anything to add?
Um, there was something when you were there was something I wanted to add. You said something about viral. When you are doing something and you go viral, you know how to use that moment. Let me okay, for example, I'm a fashion designer. I make bridal wears, and I also make men's traditional wears. And let's say one of my bridal dresses goes viral. I won't be pressured to do too much, because when that one dress goes viral, when you come to my page or when you come to me, you would see that I have um, I'm looking for the best way to put it, because you can go viral, and because you do not have any authentic content, or because you didn't plan it, you just did one thing and it just went viral, and after that one viral video, that one viral moment, you don't have any other thing to show. You're now struggling, you're now trying to do any type of content at all, whatever, you just want to post anything. But if you have an authentic brand, if what you're doing is authentic, when one of it goes viral, it opens doors for the other ones that you've had already, and the ones you want to do in the future. You will not be hanging looking for what to do. A typical example is, was it last year, this fish pie guy, on TikTok, that sound fish pie or something like that. So that guy had
Fish
that.
pie.
Mhm. That was not something he planned. It just happened. I mean, these things just happen. And I thought, with everything he was getting, I thought his next step was going to be to standardize his fish pie, market it so well that market it as the best fish pie that people would pay logistics to buy that his fish pie. But the next thing I saw him do was skit. And I'm like, what are you doing here? You had a moment to show, like, so if he had a if he had a big picture, if he wasn't just I just dey sell fish pie because of money, he could have known how to turn that one viral moment into something that stays, into something that would build a lasting, moment. From this one viral video, you've become popular. You've put your face has been in the faces of millions of Nigerians. Your next thing, put your business, push your business, push your what the next content after that viral moment is your business. Whatever it is you're doing. So don't go viral in one thing and then you're now going to go and do skits. Have you seen that was how he died down? And I don't know what he's doing now, but that's the end of the story for him. And it still boils down to not being prepared, because opportunities will come. Let these opportunities make you prepared, so that when you see it, you yourself will be able to recognize that yes, this is an opportunity, and you key into it. So that is what I'm going to end with. Be prepared, so that when you have an opportunity, you use it wisely. Wisely. Don't follow trends. Please don't follow trends. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything to say?
Well, thank you so much, Ma. So she said she made mention of one of our friends. She said opportunity can come at any time, and then she said that it is another thing. She said that once you see it, because you've been prepared, you'll be able to recognize it. But I want to emphasize on that point. So that woman or little girl child that is listening to us will be able to get another, will be able to understand. So the thing is that if you're not prepared for, let's say that for now you are in catering. So but the catering that you've learned since like 10 years ago, you stayed without knowledge. You did not go to YouTube. And now some people will say, oh, there is no money. But then YouTube is another avenue for you to learn, for you to improve on yourself. Because as I like food. Despite the fact that I'm not into catering or anything, there are so many things that I learned on YouTube. For example, hairdressing. There are so many things that I learned through on YouTube concerning that. So as time goes on, you prepare, you'll be able to prepare, you'll be improving yourself. So once opportunity comes, because you've become familiarized with that craft, with that skill, you'll be able to recognize that opportunity. Okay, so there's this program that they do every year. It's a Christian program. So there was this particular person, at a particular artist. I can remember her name, but I don't want to mention her name. So she sang at that program. That was the first time. That was the first time people like noticed that. And ever since that time, the next thing is that people started calling her for programs. She started going internationally to sing, to minister. People only saw the success. They didn't see the rigorous training, the night that she will have to stay overnight to prepare. So preparation can meet you at any point. So you don't need to be on the national TV before preparation meets you. It can even meet you in your room. Maybe one day you just decided that, oh, I have something to say, and then you just set your camera and then you're speaking and you post it on social media. Someone can say, oh, I like this person's mentality, or someone can see that you have potentials and know that, oh, you still need some polishing or anything. So the person can just reach out to you and be like, oh, these are the areas of these are your areas where you need improvements. So connection can meet you anywhere. So that's just all I have to say. And again, Ma, thank you very, very much, because you are a very busy person. Thank you very much for yes, ma. Thank you very much for giving out your time to give back. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you very much for yes, ma. Thank you very much for giving out your time to give back. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Amen. Amen.
You've added another mind blowing advice again, the way you've been doing since morning. So, this is it. I'm still going to relate it with the first question I asked before, where you were able to like relate fashion illustrator and fashion maker, where I asked that if it was only a young girl with a dream, what would you like? What would you tell the girl? And you were able to expatiate further on that as well. So this is what you were trying to teach us. I believe that a young girl that starts a dream, she'll be like, oh, is somebody noticing me? Will this opportunity come to me? Will I be big in this part? Will it actually happen to me that, okay, my name is Ed for this business that I'm in? Will my brand be the talk of the Africa? You'll be waiting for when that opportunity will come. But the question is, are you prepared? Are you ready for that opportunity? Because once you go viral, the first thing people will want to know is, who is she? And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, they will type your name on Google, because this is what will happens whenever a celebrity maybe marry a lady that is not popular and all of that. The first thing people will actually know is, oh, who is this kind of person? Let's check this face. Let's check the profile. Let's check who is she. Let's check what is she doing. Like, then from there, you start thriving. So whatever you are doing, just continue doing it. Continuity matters. Like on LinkedIn now, sometimes you be like, okay, I post something, this I'm not getting impression on this kind of thing. They will tell you that the people that are watching you on LinkedIn, they might not be the people that are reacting on that post, but somebody somewhere is watching you. And once you are giving them, like, you are even like you are posting, you are doing all of those things consistently, they'll be like, okay, oh, who is this person? When they get tired of seeing your post, it will actually push them, like one of my guest speaker just said. Because when you see Nessa's collection today, and not you see it tomorrow, have you built that empire? Because that is what will bring value to you. That is what will bring name. That is what will bring a recognized identity for you. Thank you so much for coming, ma. We've come to the end of the episode from Okrika 08.